Daily Ticker Time here on a Tuesday, brought to you by Pelican Brewing. Visit pelicanbrewing.com for more details on locations, events, award-winning beers, independently brewed since 1996. Pelican Brewing, born at the beach. The Big 12 Media Days are here. It's that month. It's exciting. I love it. Football's around the corner, and so we thought, let's talk some Big 12 football with our good friend. It's still weird to say that. Bill Riley, at ESPN 700 Bill on Twitter, but he's no longer a radio guy. Bill, first off, congratulations on the new job, and do you miss daily sports talk radio yet?
Well, first of all, what was hard to say? That I'm a good friend of the program? Was that what you were saying?
No, the Big 12 Media Day.
Like I'm a good friend of the program?
Utah and Big 12 Media Day. Is it weird for you? It's still weird for me.
Yeah, I'm still saying Pac-12 a lot. Thanks for that. Yeah, I'm on my second week on the job. I took a position with the university. Still doing radio, just not on a regular basis.
Okay.
Still the play-by-play voice for Utah. I'm helping to create. Every Big 12 school has to create a digital platform to air events. This year we have to do 50. Next year over 100.
Wow.
Basketball, football, women's basketball, soccer, volleyball, baseball. It's basically the Big 12's version of the Pac-12 network. It's going on ESPN Plus, so actually everybody can see it. But every school's responsible for producing the events that happen on their campus. And so I've done a lot of TV in my career as well as a lot of radio. And so they kind of created this position, made a pitch to me. It was one of those, when you get older in life, the fewer opportunities start to be presented to you. This was like a fun challenge. I had a good 30-year run in radio, so I decided let's try this one. And so it's been fun so far.
That's interesting. So when did you find out? Like, was that like a Big 12 mandate when all this started to go down, and they called and said, "Hey, you got to figure out what you're doing here, Utah"?
Yeah, everybody has it. I mean, the Big 12 schools that are currently existing before this merger, they've been doing it for a couple of years now on Big 12. They call it Big 12 Now, ESPN Plus. So it's part of the league mandate. Every school in the league is creating their own broadcast department.
Interesting. Well, it's an awesome new opportunity, a great new gig. It's so exciting to hear that they're going to tackle this, and I'm curious to watch some of these on ESPN Plus when it all begins. It's hard, Bill, not to start in the place of it just simply being weird. Like it's strange for me. I was just mentioning this the other day. We were looking through Big 10 Media Day lineups, and I'm like, we got to interview a coach from Indiana. Who the heck? A quarterback from Northwestern? What are we doing here? What happened to the Pac-12, man? It's a fresh reminder of all this newness. But I will say, not to butter your bread too much here, one of the positives of the downfall of the Pac-12 is now I am allowed and can be able to root for Utah. I love your program. I love your head coach. We love having you on. I'm rooting for you guys in the Big 12 this year. Seems like you're the favorite. A lot of people are back for an extra year. What's the feeling right now in Salt Lake about this team?
Oh, it's good. I mean, they were picked by the media last week as the favorite by just a little nose over K-State and Oklahoma State. It's a good league. Here's the thing. Utah's coming out of a league where you had Oregon, USC, Washington. Last year Oregon State popped up. I mean, there's no flagship school in this league right now with Texas and Oklahoma leaving. So Utah's got a chance to kind of fill that void. Now, K-State may have something to say about that. Oklahoma State may have something to say about that. But it's really a good spot, especially, as you say, considering what they're bringing back. Cam Rising, who looked as good as he's ever looked this spring, healthy-wise, running around. Brant Keithy's back. They've got more weapons on the offensive side of the football than any time I can remember. Adding Dorian Singer from SC, adding Damian Alford from Syracuse, who's a big target, Carson Ryan from UCLA. It's going to be a fun year this year, and it's also fun on the. I kind of grew up in the old Big Eight. I grew up in Kansas, and I went to the University of Kansas. But the league is got a lot of fun destinations. It's different for the Pac-12 because you're not going to big cities, with rare exception of a Salt Lake City or something like that. Manhattan, Ames, Stillwater, Morgantown, Lubbock. These are not big cities, but what they are is college towns, and people care a whole lot more in these college towns, a lot like what Corvallis is and maybe a Pullman is, about what's going on with their school in some of the cities. I mean, Utah could be playing USC on a Saturday night. You fly into Los Angeles, nobody knows. There's no there's no buzz about USC and Utah in LA. There just isn't. But when you're going into Ames, you're going into Stillwater, you're going into Waco, there's a buzz about it. So I'm kind of excited for it.
Bill, can you talk about the journey that Utah has had? We're talking about all these new things that you all are experiencing, and then that we're experiencing now with the move to the Big Ten here as Oregon fans. But, Utah moving initially from the Mountain West to the Pac-12, now the Big 12. And really, I believe Utah is a great example of just a program moving in the right direction and upping their status better than I can really remember than anyone in the last 20 years, maybe outside of Oregon, obviously vaulting to national status. But Utah really is there in the national conversation way more than they were 12 years ago. So what do you think the biggest difference is from then to now in Salt Lake City?
Well, I mean, obviously they've been a member of a Power 5 league for the last 13 years. I mean, that makes all the difference in the world. The revenue that comes in, the attention that comes in. The transition from the Mountain West to the Pac-12 it wasn't rocky. There were some bumps along the way, but Kyle had actually, they were coming off a year where they beat Alabama in the Sugar Bowl and went undefeated 2 years before. They always had a lot of talent. What they had to do was recruit depth of talent. Mm-hmm. You just don't have that at the non-Power 5, the Group of 5 level. So there was a little bit of a rocky transition, but it was only a year or two, and then they were competitive. This is going to be a much easier transition. Now, there's new schools and new opponents, new venues, new cities. But from a football standpoint, Utah's going to go into the Big 12 conference as well. Obviously, the preseason polls say that, but they're on par, if not slightly above, just about everybody in the conference right now. So I think the last 13 years in the Pac-12 have prepared them for this, and I don't think the transition is that great. You just have to learn some new opponents and new styles of play, and learn, a little bit about what Chris Kleiman likes to do at K-State, or Mike Gundy likes to do at Oklahoma State. But besides that, I think this transition, not that the last one was bad, but I think this one's going to be a little bit more smooth.
Well, and then you add on top of that, Bill, too, that you get the winner of the Big 12 getting home field advantage potentially throughout the course of the college football playoff. It's just a whole different ballgame this year, which, hey, maybe we end up seeing Utah again. I did bemoan to Sprague, I think, a week or two ago, because we shouted you out when we heard the news about the new gig, and we were pumped for you. And I mentioned, I'm going to miss having Bill on during the season because there's nobody that comes on our airwaves and riles up both Oregon State fan and Oregon fan more than Bill Riley does the week that Oregon State or Oregon are playing Utah. And so we just got to bring you on like randomly throughout the year, and you can trash our programs. We can get angry at you. And just, we got to keep that bit alive a little. The Morgan Scally news, I hope I always mispronounce the last name. I think that's how you say it.
Scally.
Okay,
yeah,
Scally.
Right.
What is surprise there? Does it tell us anything about Whittingham? For those who missed it, he was named as the coach in waiting at Utah. Is there any tea leaves to read there, or is that just we love this guy no matter how long it takes? He's going to stick around and wait for Kyle.
Well, I mean, his dad played at Utah. He played at Utah. He's only coached at Utah. He's been here over 20 years. So no, he's the coach in waiting. Just that sets and keeps the culture in place. Kyle right now, I think, is just kind of taking it year by year. Mm-hmm. I think he's got the program to the point where he really, really likes it. And it's one of those things where when you've been doing it for 20 years and had great success, it's one of those players run the locker room, coaches run the rest of it. And so I just think that they wanted to have that succession plan in place. You've got the right guy. I mean, there's no more a Utah guy. People say Kyle Whittingham's a Utah guy, and he is. 30 years here coaching and all that other stuff. But he did play at BYU. Morgan Scally, his father played at Utah. He grew up going to Utah games. He was an All-American at Utah and has coached here now for 20 years. So there's no better fit to kind of succeed Whittingham than having Scally do it.
One last word for you, Bill. The last time Kyle Whittingham coached games against Mario Cristobal, I know how that went. And we don't need to rehash those games. I did see the news though of a 2027 opener in Las Vegas, and I want to tell you, buddy, hey, go do it again. Would you just go do it one more time for us, will you? Okay.
Well, maybe we'll have great success if Mario's looking for another job like he was the last time around. We didn't know it at the time, but he had one foot out the door, and,
right.
and I think that explains some things. The way they played in those two games, it was they were like mirror images of one another.
Maybe not punting to one of the best punt returners in the country at the end of the half. Maybe kick the ball out of bounds. Just an idea. What do I know though? I don't know that much.
Yeah,
football.
2 seconds left in the half. Maybe we just kick it out of bounds.
Just
right?
run out of bounds. It's not a big deal. Bill Riley, he's the voice of Utah. Got a new gig with the University of Utah. Longtime radio guy, a good friend of the program. And no, we are not. It's not weird to say that. We love having you on. Big 12 Media Days are getting underway. Congrats on the new gig, Bill. We always appreciate the time, and come rile us up a couple of times this season. Okay.
Just call me. And by the way, I'm still waiting on some of that Pelican Brewing beer that you two promised me like 4 years ago.
It's on the way.
You know why I get riled up? Because you two, the duck and the beaver, welch on your bet.
And we left you hanging at Pac-12 Media Day, and I still feel bad about that. All these years later, Bill, that lunch was good though. I still feel bad about that. Beer's on the way. Thanks as always, buddy.
Hey, talk to you soon.
There you go, Bill Riley, the voice of Utah. As it is weird. It's strange. It's weird. It's going to be weird for a while. They though. Like, to your question, Schultze, about where they were going into the Pac-12, like, that's such a big jump for them to go from Mountain West. Now, to his point, still a good program, right? Like, Urban and Kyle, like, they had really good seasons.
Of course. And not trying to knock it by asking that at all.
And now you're going into a league where now you're playing good teams almost week in and week out, right? Yeah. I think you can make a pretty strong argument that this is going to be a downgrade in competition. And I don't mean to be that disrespectful to the Big 12. I think Iowa State could be good this year. Kansas State's going to be a decent little program. Like Oklahoma State's solid, and they got a good offensive line and a good running back. Like, there's some good teams still in that conference, but some of the juggernauts, I don't see an undefeated Washington team. I don't see a team that's as talented as what Oregon was last year or will be this year. Or there's not a Caleb Williams at USC. Like, a lot of those things are out of the way. They are the front runner in that conference, and I wouldn't be shocked at all if Utah is either getting a first-round bye in the college football playoff this year or hosting a first-round playoff game.
What an amazing story that they are in the last 20 years. They're the only program I could think of that's come up this far in conference talk, up to a power Big Five now, and in the national championship conversation. It's what Washington State and Oregon State wish they could have done, and I'm not trying to knock those two schools, but it is just to see that happening in an actual success story. Good job, Salt Lake. Good job, Kyle Whittingham, man. What a program they have.
Yeah, and I wasn't blowing smoke either. I love Kyle Whittingham, dude. I respect the hell out of him, and I'm, it's one of those things of like the Big 12 move. I'm like, dude, I'm glad that I can root for Utah now. I'm going to be rooting like hell for him to beat the crap out of Colorado and win the Big 12. A couple of more college football thoughts I want to get to. We'll get to some broadcasting news coming up top of the hour. Mail sack at 8:15. That was the Daily Ticker, as always, brought to you by Pelican Brewing. Visit pelicanbrewing.com for more details on locations, events, award-winning beers independently brewed since 1996. Pelican Brewing, born to the beach.